Hi there guys, how you doing? Rigo here again, and today with a video that, might be some GBs in the community. Later update from IL2 developers came out and I was kinda let down. And I was not alone. I don't want to be judgmental about people, but some of them will like whatever they get. And sounds like they kinda chilling. They're so grateful for the devs to keeping everything running, but in the end, we got like huge radio silence, especially after Jason left, and we got no news, we got no future, we got no roadmap, we have no idea what it's doing. There's a lot of features missing, and from the planes that you could get in this game, we are only getting just a few cool ones. And I know some people are gonna say that TA 152 is amazing, and oh my god, I was so hyped. Honestly, that's very niche, yes, you can have altitude fights, but what allied planes can fight that? The P-47, which is completely neutered? That plane is not doing its full potential right now in the game. Oh, bomber interception? Do you have like a lot of bomber interception in this game? We don't have 4-engine bombers for the TA to actually be useful, and that plane was kind of a unicorn. 6.9 made if you believe Wikipedia. And then you have the Shaika, which is a fun plane. I flew it in War Thunder a lot. It was one of my favorite planes in War Thunder. Basically because it turns like a fucking animal. But again, the majority of the models that the Shaika were produced were actually using low caliber machine guns. Just a few of them use like high powered ammunition. The rest is just pea shooter. So again, the two most hyped planes are not the biggest hype ever. And then you have like a glider. Then you deploy what with the glider? Static troops? Well, where's the fun in that? Where's the hype? Why are you guys hyped for? So I'm kind of skeptical, at the same time disappointed. Basically because there are planes out there that could be implemented in this game, and I believe we're not seeing them anytime soon. So let's jump to the list of planes that I think would be really interesting in this game, would be a great addition. This list is gonna be huge, with some variants and some base planes. I'm going over a lot of countries, and I don't know if they'll be historically accurate to do each great battle, but I just think, what keeps this game running is like how polished is the experience, how many cool toys you can get, to actually play with. So, feature-wise, we had some fixing here and there, but there's a lot of things missing. I'm gonna make a second video about the features that I think should be implemented, and I should have been implemented a long time ago, actually. For now, I'm just talking planes. What kind of planes we could see in this game that not only attract more people, but actually diversify a little bit, especially multiplayer-wise. Because honestly, I'm kind of saturated with the huge amount of collector and base packages planes that are just variants, and slight variants they are. So, roll the intro and let's see the list I made here. So I just want to be really clear in here. I am not saying that the game is incomplete. I'm not saying that devs should fucking die or something like that. I'm just saying that in the pace of IL2, its greatness, Bodenplatz and then Normandy, I expected that, things would go bigger and greater and more important. And they're Russian developers, so everything that is on the Russian front should be really interesting and important for them. I know. I just want to point out that, maybe the community grew up, used to great titles and great planes, and maybe they make some late war on the Russian front or something like that. We don't know yet, but just let you know, I love IL2. This video comes from a place of hope, a place that, please do not screw this up, because you want it or not, Jason always kept communicating sometimes not in the best manner, but still that guy, I feel at least, he probably overworked. He was doing a lot of roles in one city to keep the communication with the Western clients, and then trying to transform the game in something cool. And the game as it is right now, substantially due to Jason's participation in 1C. So again, just before you think, you come into comments, oh, you are a hater, you hate this game. No, I'm just skeptical, and I'm a client. I pay for it, and I paid for every single module in the IL2 store, not even Steam. I bought some in Steam and then rapidly went to the store, and I paid the company directly, even for planes that I was not so interested, because I was having fun. I wanted to fund the company behind the game I liked so much. Therefore, when I see that for months and months and months we don't have nothing substantial, and 2 collector planes that, they were supposed to come last year, they will come in the end of 2023, and then more variants, collectors or not, variants of planes we have. I'm just kind of got tired of the many variants, we have so many cool planes. Therefore, I wanted to make a video about planes that could be implemented in the game. Again, I don't know about documentation or historical accuracy. I just know they are out there, and a great part of the community already spoken about this. If it's not completely 100%, super loyal to the original behavior or layouts of the plane, the community would accept some not so detailed planes out there. They were cheaper, or there are a big bunch of planes, especially for Japanese. Like, there are planes out there that could be implemented, even if not to the standard of Great Battles right now, because the engine is getting old. A lot of features are limited because the engine is getting old. This game has been developed for many, many years, almost a decade, if not more. So, maybe adding some new planes and lots of variants should be feasible. Again, I know game dev is hard. Maybe the company is not doing so great, or maybe flight simming is so niche. It's not like, you cannot make a lot of money on it. So you gotta sometimes just make, milk a little bit of the clients. I don't know. But I'm not a hater. I'm not trying to say that this company sucks or anything like that. I just want to show that we have a lot of planes, and I know a lot of them were documented really well, that could be implemented in IL-2. So let's start by the weirdest countries and then go for the meat and potatoes. What about an Italian unicorn? Yes, let's start by the smaller countries and suggest planes along the way. The first one, this guy had 50 planes produced. It's a twin engine. He had a ground attack version and an intercept version. The interceptor version is kind of 20 mils and machine guns, and I think this plane would be a really cool collector's plane if it had Italy, for example. And I mean, a lot of people want Italy as an operation. One of my first DLCs ever in my life was in fact Italy chapter for Battlefield 1942. So why not, The Iman RO-57 should be an Italian unicorn. And then you have some bombers, right? We need some bombers, I believe at least that every single great battle had a medium bomber. So you have the Fiat BR Ciconia, which would be like crane in English. Approximately 500 of those were made. So this is actually a great number for a plane to be included in the game. And then you have the Savoia Marchetti 79 Sparviero. This guy, super common, 1,200 manufactured. And honestly, a lot of games that includes, World War II planes, you talk Italy, this guy comes to mind. A great 3-engine medium bomber. Honestly, one of those planes that, spark to the eye when you think about, the Italian armed forces. The Sparviero has, of course, a successor, the Savoia Marchetti 84, and 300 of those were manufactured, so you still have place for, different versions. You have actually space for, in the game, to, newer versions of the plane, and I think that's really cool. And of course, the 3-engine bombers from Italy look super rad. And of course, you could not talk about Italian armored forces if you cannot talk about the Fiat Falco. You had 1,800 of those made, and they participated all of places. You had exemplars of these biplane Italian planes, like in Great Britain. You have that, and you can see these guys on Malta. Like, Italy deployed this plane everywhere, and we're having a biplane right now. So why don't go to beginning of the war, early war, and include some early planes? And I think a lot of people actually appreciate early war. And then you go a little bit to early war. There's no way talking about Italian army without the G50 Freccia, which would be arrow, if I'm not... Oh, there it's written right there. I didn't need to translate. But, I'm a kind of guy that is interested in late war, and as you can see here, the big five. There's no way talking about Italian fighters, and even, Wikipedia here say that it's just impossible talking without the 3 fives. The Veltro, the Sagittario, and the Centauro. So the Italian Regia Aeronautica could offer a lot for us, and Italian planes, I believe they'll be hella fun. You have the Mach 202, No, why not have the 205 and the other 5s? And you can imagine some American planes that participate on the Mediterranean theater of operations, and static carriers, islands. That would be super cool. So let's go to Frogland and see what French planes you could get. And of course, I'm not going to be including American planes in here because I was kind of leaving a video for Pacific, but as you know, Pacific ain't happening anytime soon. But a lot of American planes, were used by the French. So let's forget American planes. I'll not be talking about American planes, although we know a lot of cool American planes we could get. So I'll be talking about the variants in the later part of the video. But French. So to me, because of War Thunder, basically, the IL-2 143 is like an icon, This plane screams French. More because it's a visually really easily identifiable plane, but, it's an imported bomber of the French Air Force. So, yeah, I think this one could be in the game and it would be fun to pilot it, but actually to shoot at it. You want unicorns, right? You have the TA-152 and there are only like 90 made out of the plane. So this guy had 86 manufactured and I think it looks really, really cool. We need some cool design planes out there, and I think the IL-354 actually, fits perfectly in there. And, fast, medium bomber. That's exactly what every single pack needs in this game, so there you go. Then of course the French had a lot of cool fighters actually, and if you tried, the French Tech 3, because France is such a sad country, but still, the MP-150 is actually a really capable plane, 600 are manufactured, and I think it'll be just an interesting plane to fly. Not because I think it'll be in any game, but because I think it should be, because it looks cool. The MB-170, we are having some hints at a reconnaissance feature in this game. We have a speed with the camera, and it does nothing apparently so far. So reconnaissance twin engine, good looking plane, Bloch MB-170, and I refuse to learn to speak French, so my pronunciation will be butchered. 230 Breguets 693 were made, and this guy had a lot of variants, but it's a ground attack aircraft, and of course we know France did not do a lot of ground attack, especially because Blitzkrieg. But at any time, I think this plane looks really nice, and you can see some pictures in the internet. It looks dope, and I'm all for the twin engines. And it's good to see that, at least in Italy, you didn't have like a lot of focus on ground attack. A lot of planes were made, to fly over other territories to get air superiority and some medium bombers. So it'd be really interesting to have a ground attack, especially in some early war scenario. So another cool looking plane, a twin engine medium bomber, the Liaison et Olivier, French. So the Leo 45, I think this plane was one of the mainstays of the French Air Force, 560 manufactured. So, another medium bomber, and I think we have some packages in the game that had 3 medium bombers. So, French army is doable. And then some fighters, the Morane Saulnier MS 406, 1,100 manufactured, man. So this is really cool. It'd be really nice for early war, and it was not a great plane to to fly at all. You can see even the Wikipedia says outperformed by the Messerschmitt, the EMU. But at the same time, French Air Force, come on. A lot of people want early war, and to me, early war needed to be France. So another twin engine. You know who I am. I like twin engines. So this guy was using a heavy fighter attack aircraft, light bomber, and whatever. I think it looks amazingly good. This plane looks really nice. Multi-role plane would be needed, especially in an early war scenario. It was introduced in 38, so we fit perfectly in there. It was a really capable aircraft. You need always a unicorn, so there you have it. Less than 50 manufactured Arsenal VG-33. The first flight was in April 1939, so they didn't have any time to fly these a lot. Soon after they were introduced, France fell for the German army. So anyway, unicorn right there. And then the main fighter for the French, you have this in other IL-2 games, the DO-18 D520. And you have 900 of those manufactured, and it was introduced in 1940. So I believe this one, it's a really great and capable plane, and in War Thunder flies really nice. And is introduced really late, but it was really capable. It would be the top French plane, I am really sure. And in case you were curious, okay, but not that many great planes to add to France in case of an early war scenario. What else? And you can see here the list. They grabbed a lot of planes from the United States and even Italy in here. I mean, even Italy, there was even Russia in there. Early war scenario, some early French and American planes versus some early German planes. That would be cool. That would be really, really nice. And you could have like French territory in IL-2. I think it would be great. And Cliffs of Dover don't cover that much, especially if you go to the southern part of France. I believe this is super doable. So we did Italy and France. Let's actually go to countries that we have in IL-2. Well, time to go British, you know, and a lot of people got really mad at me, especially on Discord or some servers. How can I be happy? They're giving us some planes and an idea of a new map somehow, someday, and all that. We have a lot of British planes on this game. And we don't have a bullfighter. How? I'm not even going over the variants, you know, and all that, but this plane is a staple of, you know, the Royal Air Force, and somehow we don't have bullfighters, man. I mean, this plane is a classic. You have some bullfighters making history throughout World War II, and you don't have a single one. This is the British duck, and much more capable than the German duck or any other duck. So you have some really cool variants from the Bristol bullfighter, and we don't have any. Why? Could even be a collector's plane as far as I know. I mean, this plane is really cool. Then you have some early World War II frenzy, because this guy would be OP as hell. The Westland Whirlwind. Even here in the Wikipedia it says that for that time it was considered super advanced and super armed. Let's see the specifications to prove my point. This guy is an early World War plane, and it carried 4 Hispanos 20mm cannons. I mean, this thing was, you know, it carried a punch. It will be very OP, so, you know, some control in the multiplayer would be needed, but still, what a crazy plane. You know, twin engine T-tail. What is there not to love? And then you have a reconnaissance plane that actually carried some guns, the Westland Welking, high altitude plane for, you know, it started, you know, first flight 42, but introduction 44, so kind of late war plane. This could be one unicorn for the British, and I mean, this plane is really interesting the more you read about it. And then you come to the, you know, the why not still we don't have this, the Meteor. I mean, we have the 262 and have the Arado, which is like a jet unicorn. If jets are not, you know, unicorn enough, how we don't have a Meteor? Or a shooting star, by the way. But I'm not going over American planes because we basically have no United States presence. You know, we have some planes here because they participate in this operation, that operation, but we don't have United States as, you know, a force like we have British, Russian, and German. So I'm not going to go over the American planes, not in this video at least. You know, there are a lot of cool American planes, but the Meteor should be a must. And I could easily see, especially because we know they upgraded the engine to deal with, you know, some really high speeds and jet engines. So we could have some early war, and I'm not gonna talk about this right now, but we could have Korea and, you know, the conflicts that, you know, ranged from 45 to 50s and then in the 50s. Anyway, Gloucester Meteor, it would be really cool to actually fight V1s using the plane they used to hit it. And then we have some, you know, some unicorns to add to the collection, and I found out this plane some days ago, but I read about it, sounds really interesting, you know, and ground attack dive bomber plane for the British would be really nice. 147 produced, so be, you know, easily a unicorn for us. And, you know, we don't have many twin engines, especially for the British have right now the Mosquito, but we could use more, because the more twin engines the better. That's my opinion at least. So let's go to variants. First of all, we have the Seafire. And can you imagine a Channel chapter, Battle of Britain, something like that? They did Normandy, I know, but you know, this is a variant of the Spitfire that we have so many Spitfires right now, and still we don't have, you know, Hurricane Mark IVs or the Spitfire Mark 21, which had 4 cannons and no pea shooters. So yeah, 303, We don't need 303s, you know, we need cannons. Cannons are good, they pack a punch, or 50 cals, by the way. So yeah, Seafire, 2000 produced. I think would be really interesting to see this in the air. And then of course you have, you know, the Spiteful and, you know, the Sea Fang, but they are so unicorn that should be weird, but one I wish you had in this game. The Tempest Mark II and the Tempest Mark V with the 45 cannon. And the Hurricane has some really mean cannons. Why can't we have, you know, some weird looking Tempest like the Mark II or the Mark III, or some Tempest with 47mm Class P Vickers? I'll leave you that questioning and let's go to the next country. So, time to talk of the Luftwaffe. And now start with the variants of planes we already have. So we have the Junker 88, the common bomber. We got, you know, the C6 version. Really cool, really fun. Kinda sluggish, but hey, it's a Junker 88. Then I'll try to just remember you. You have many other variants like the 88G Night Fighter. Then we have the P with some really interesting armaments. Super cool, very based. And then you have the S variants that remove the gondola, and apparently it was the fastest of all variants. I really wish you could see that in action, you know? I really like, you know, heavy fighters, and especially for bombing, intercept and strike missions. So yeah, the Junker 88 would be really cool. And yes, let me address the elephant in the room. Everybody wants a 190, 87, you know, what else? A9, A10. We got the TA-152, so you can all relax and calm your tits. 109 G10, a lot of people want that. We got another G6 because we already, you know, don't have enough. So yeah, I'm not talking about those. You guys know all about those. So let's move on to the less talked about variants. The Junker 88 actually got, you know, a weirder brother. 1,200 manufactured about those. The Junker 188s, and you know, different plane for the Germans in order not to get 4 others, 190 and 109. So yeah, be great. And before I move on, better versions of the Stuka, better version of the Duck, that'll be welcome as well. And then some variants for the 262, because big cannons, and you have some really crazy versions here. And don't get me wrong, we have some really nice upgrades and variants in the game already. You can put bombs, you can remove cannons, add armor and all that. It's really great, but 50mm cannons, everything is better with a 50mm cannon. So let's move on to planes that I don't understand why you don't have on this game yet. Dornier 17, seriously, 2,000 of those early war. This guy was the workhorse, you know, when we speak medium bomber, used everywhere, and still we don't have a Dornier 17. Why? Early war. A lot of people asking, man, I wish you had early war. This guy here would be there. Dornier 17. Why? And of course the Dornier 17, you know, got a bigger brother, the Dornier 215, and this would be just a unicorn. But again, we have so many in this game at this point, so why not? And then a reconnaissance plane. Yes, you might be thinking, what the hell will have that? Because yes, honestly, you have the C-47. It just drops people or boxes. Why not some reconnaissance plane in this game? So I think this guy would be the perfect plane to be the first reconnaissance only plane. I think that would be super great. I'm sorry, but I think this would be really fun. Especially if you consider that developers are trying to make, you know, this reconnaissance function and make it, you know, a real thing. We know that already, so why not have reconnaissance planes? You said you want early war? Heinkel 112. I mean, early war, Luftwaffe, unicorn. Why not? I mean, it's a variant of the Heinkel 100s, and, you know, came second behind the Messerschmitt Bf 109. But still, it's a different plane. Would be nice to have an early war, and this guy would be the perfect fighter. I cannot put into words my admiration for this plane. The first tricycle plane, the first plane with ejection seat. There you go. There you have it. So hard. A plane with a really good view for the pilots, ability to have a radar. I mean, the Uhu, it's so nice. I mean, it's so cool. I only flew it in War Thunder, I think, is the only game you can actually fly that, if you don't count 1946, of course. This plane, you know, is super nice, looks amazingly cool, and you had 300 of those. So, yeah, we could have this plane in the game, and, you know, Raider will be kind of... I'll talk about Raiders and other features in another video. This video is only for, you know, new toys you could have in the game, and you probably won't have. Brother, if you're talking Wunderwaffe, you know, the Volksjäger needs to be here. You know, 300 of those, crazy projects, probably a disaster as far as I learned. It had a lot of accidents and a lot of really young pilots without experience flying this thing, but it looks nice. 300 were manufactured and they kind of appeared in the late war, so Wunderwaffe. Every Air Force needs its bread and butter, you know, meat and potato, and for the Russians we have some here. Early war scenario, medium bomber, Ilyushin DB3. And not only the DB3, but, you know, the Tupolev SB, also called Ant-40. Thousands and thousands of those were manufactured. They're really decent planes, you know, for twin-engine medium bombers. But they were fast, agile, and for early war I think would be some really great addition. And, you know, people keep saying, we want early war, here's some alternatives. And, of course, the DB3 was actually, you know, evolved into the Ilyushin 4. And again, 5,000 manufactured through World War II. You have nothing close to this guy in the game. Again, a really cool plane, really important to the Soviet Air Force, and I don't get why you don't have these staple planes. And I'm really trying not to tilt, because the Russians have some really cool planes and you don't see any of that. You get variants of stuff. Wow. And then some ground attack planes, the Sukhoi 2, you know, really famous in War Thunder. 900 those were made, and they had a variant for engine armored upgrade, Sukhoi 4. And, you know, I think it's really cool in IL-2. You can have a plane and then the variants, just selecting some upgrades. You can lock the upgrades depending on the server or mission anyway. So 900 of ground attack planes that are not IL-2s. I'm up for it. And speaking of IL-2, where is my 44 production wing with arrow? Seriously, the definitive version of the IL-2, you know, the IL-2 wing with arrow, so referred in the West as the 2M3. So in order for you to understand why arrow with wings, they made the plane, they shaped the wing like an arrow, so the center of lift kind of goes a little bit backwards. That makes the plane more stable, and therefore they actually got the gunner there and made the plane a little bit more stable, because some variants didn't have a back gunner. Basically because, you know, you got the center of gravity a little bit backwards in the plane, that can lead some instability. So this guy was the definitive edition for the IL-2, and I think we should have one. The name of the game is IL-2. Come on. And of course, the name of the game is IL-2, Sturmovik. We should have a late war version of it, because a lot of people want a late war version of a lot of things. And come on, late war, we need an IL-10. It's basically you know, an IL-2 on steroids. You know, better armament, better engine, better performance. And I really like to fly the Goblin planes. You know, the planes that people usually go to the powerful fighters and all that. I like to do unusual stuff with the game. You know, otherwise, because I actually suck. I'm not a good pilot. But it's really cool to get a fighter with the guard down using an attacker. And it'd be super fun to fight the IL-10. So there's that. And then I try not to be pissed, but why don't we have a Tupolev 2? Seriously, 2,200 manufactured. A performance comparable, in some things worse, in some things better than the Peshka, but a really cool plane, really capable of defending itself. And seriously, we should have a Tupolev 2. This guy, another mainstay of the Soviet army. We got a lot of variants and a lot of, you know, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you know you have really cool planes, and they probably have a lot of documentation in their country about it. And we're having like variants. I'm tired of variants, you know, variants of variants. Come on. So let's go over a little bit of the, you know, the unicorns. Every country needs one. So the Yak-2 and the Yak-4. Nothing super crazy to say about the Yak-4, but I had a chance to fly the Yak-2 Ka-BB in War Thunder, and I had a blast. Together with the Shaika, I think are the two planes I have, you know, the most kills on German planes. They are super great. You know, this one have this, you know, this combined gun bomb battery designed by whatever, but it has a glass cockpit, you know. And that with some really good armaments, man, such a nice and fun plane to actually fly. It's a shame you get to fly on War Thunder, you know? But, you know, everyone has the guilty pleasure. It's not even a pleasure. War Thunder was my guilty frustration. But in the rare moments I get the opportunity to fly the Yak-2 KABB and the Shaika against German planes, I had fun. Although the Shaika, I must tell you, I had the version with cannons, not pea shooters. Pea shooters are boring. And then I don't think I need to tell you anything about this one. Seriously, Yakovlev 3. We have the version 9, you have the 1, the 7, the whatever. This was the top fighter, and anyone had a chance to fly, even from other countries said this was like their Mustang, not their Ferrari. This plane, super great to maneuver, to fight, great armaments, great capabilities. Late war scenario, Yakovlev 3. And speaking of Yakovlev 9, I think we could get the 9U variant, you know, the definitive version of the Yakovlev 9, although I'm not a big fan when they have a collector's plane and then they make a change on the plane and it's an entirely another collector plane. Again, it leaves you with a taste in your mouth that maybe these guys are scraping by, you know, need everything I don't know how the company is doing, but but again, I get the Yakovlev 9 and the 9 with the bigger cannon, they need a roll of redesign, so yes. I think this guy here would be a great addition because you have the TA-152, right? And it's a high altitude performing plane, so high altitude Soviet plane. And then taking myself not seriously at all, the Lag-3. I like this plane. In war, it was not so much loved for, you know, by the pilots, by the mechanics that work on it, but I think we need, you know, a version of the Lag-3. Again, I always have some variants of planes I think are interesting, and Germans have so many variants and Spitfires. Why not the Lag-3? You know, this plane kind of slightly sucked in real life, but I think it's a fun plane to fly, and, you know, a better version would be really welcome. And again, just like the Yakovlev 3, where is my Lavochkin 7? Top notch, you know, king of the hill fighter for the Soviets. I think this plane would be an amazing plane, late war scenario, there you have it, Lavochkin 7. And then Unicorn, we need the unicorns, right? So introduction 41, so this guy will be not late war, especially because it was not that great, but the, you know, the kind of weird brother of the Peshka, the Petliakov 3. The heavy fighter version of the Petliakov 2, not that successful, but at least I think it looks really nice, had good armaments, so the Russians could get something, you know, weird to fly with. So I don't think I'll be the first guy here to tell you that I really don't like the A20 that we have. I mean, it's so little ammunition. It's just 250 cals. I mean, it's a fun plane to do ground attack, but it'd be more fun if you had more guns and more ammunition. And what about an A20G? I mean, this guy had 4 cannons and then 50 cals. Come on. I'm not talking about new American planes. I told you I'm not going to the American planes because they have a lot of American planes you could get in the game, but variants would be really nice, and everyone I know just tell me like, man, I wish we had the G variant because it was cool, you know, the G or the H variant. They look really nice, they had more armaments, they were more capable. Speaking of variants, of course, P-39. It's a fun plane, but we have the L1. Yes, you have the L1, and you have M variants, the N variants, and the final production, the key variants. Basically, an overall better plane, and, you know, the P-39 is kind of limited, they're not capable. The Soviets loved this plane, and they went until the end of the war with this guy, so I think we could get some more capable variants, you know, bring the fun. Especially when you remember that you had P-63 King Cobras, and these guys are more capable in high altitude, especially 37mm in high altitude. Don't you want that? Me too. So I think this would be a really fun plane to have, and 3000 were manufactured. I mean, it's not like a unicorn. And then my poor P-40 Hawk, Kitty Hawk, War Hawk, a lot of Hawks in here. This plane was done dirty, especially because of engine management. You know, the one feature that a lot of people complain, and it's kind of a hot topic. Yeah, at least if you had better variants like the M or N, you know, towards the end of the war, I think we had another chance for this plane to shine. It's a really cool, really good looking, really capable plane. And if one day we get the API, this plane will be super nice. And I know I talked about early and late, some scenarios. Guys, Southeast Asia. Just saying. So yeah, the P40 is a cool plane, and if you get a better engine modeling and then a later variant, can you imagine? Another plane that was done dirty, especially because now we have a TA-152, high altitudes. We should have a variant of the P47 that could be there fighting with it. And M and N variants actually existed. And I know they did not appear in Europe in time to actually do something, and the N was basically made for the Pacific. But still, you know, a really cool version of the Jug, and we should be getting a revamp of the damage model on this plane, because Jugs are not easy to bring down, but you know how it goes. And then the P51. Seriously, the P51, we have some really cool versions too, but the British versions had cannons. We have the A36 attack, and of course I could not go without telling you about the later variants like the H and the K. These guys flew in the World War II, and they were super cool. If you're getting a unicorn for Germany for high altitudes end of the war, super props late war, let's go. And remember when you got an AI-25 and B-26? Yeah, you know what would be cool? Forget the only medium bomber version, because this game lacks ground attack features and mechanics. Like, we have one type of bomb, one type of ammunition belts, and we don't have a lot of targets. The damage model for ground targets, it's not good. I don't know what you think about it. I'm gonna talk about it in another video. You know, I'm making two videos about IL-2. This one is about planes, the other about features. Imagine an autarky version like the G or H variant, you know, with a big ass cannon and more machine guns. One can only dream. And as a little bonus, you know me, I love stall planes. I have a really special place in my heart for them. Really heartbroken that, you know, that stick never gonna happen, because I was crazy about that when I saw the trailer, but you know, such is life in game dev. We have some cargo planes already, they do nothing. Although the C-47 do nothing, the variant Lisonov 2 actually has some guns and bombs, but Liaison, the J3 Cub. I have more hours in the Cub alone in Flight Simulator than some other games I play, because I really like stall planes, you know, can land anywhere, land on grass, land on hills, land on people, rooftops, ships, the President of the United States. I don't know. Especially when you remember that you have actually a crazy dogfight between two liaison planes, and the pilots use small arms to fight each other. And one guy came out of that victorious, and the other lost. So yeah, how about a crazy dogfight between liaison planes, you know, stall high wing planes? I think that would be fucking amazing, especially when you remember, you know what I'm talking about. Of course, Bazooka Charlie. You have a Cub with rockets. I don't give a damn about gliders or another variant of an plane. I want a Cub with rockets. You can judge me. You can dislike my video. I don't care. I will die on this hill. And you know, every single Air Force had a liaison plane, some twin engines, some single engines, whatever. But to me, the coolest of them all, the most, no, the weirdest of them all, the Fissler 156 Storch. Fissler made some not so poggers things in the war, but this one completely Pacific, you know, no weapons, no anything, just cool looking and taking off with a breeze and landing, you know, upside down in a cave. I don't know, these guys are super light and they can fly in any condition. So yeah, I actually think we should have some liaison planes, because easy to model, no weapon systems, nothing, they look amazing, and you can have reconnaissance or, you know, getting things to one base or another in multiplayer is actually more fun than it looks. So this was like a quick video, you know, low effort video, just to show you that we have many possibilities of planes to implementing IL-2. I actually don't have much hope we can, see a fun future for this franchise. Things are slowing down, a lot of radio silence, Jason left, and I'm not saying anything bad about 1C. They deliver a really cool game, a lot of things are implemented already. We have a lot of fixes, we had a lot of fixes in the game in the last years, but content-wise, it's kind of stalling, and the future has a lot of variants of planes we already have. Some planes that are okay, cool, but I don't think they have, like, gameplay-wise a lot of things to do with them. And we have some cool planes that we get, I'm not saying the updates left me completely unhopeful, but honestly, I was hoping to get more out of the devs, not contents, but more communication, roadmap, this is what we're trying to do. Maybe they are keeping some secrets to actually make a great review, or I don't know, a few months in the future, and they'll do some crazy review, and suddenly you have this amazing new chapter. But I was hyped for IL2, and I don't know what's happening, the company is struggling, but I was skeptical already, and I played a lot of franchises, and I saw them with my own eyes, real time, kinda slowing down until they just stopped. And I am kind of afraid of IL2 will happen that. Luck for me, I rediscovered DCS. Remember a video for 3 years ago that I tried DCS in a free week? Well, IL2 is kind of slowing down, and no, I'm not a great pilot. I don't know, I'm just learning right now how to dogfight properly and manage energy and all that. So you fight multiplayer with your friends, and you do some cool things, you have some cool moments. At the same time, it can be a little bit frustrating depending on the dynamic of the multiplayer and your experience, and the experience of the other players as well. I kinda got slowly bored out of IL2, and when I thought about, what is the future? Where I wanted this franchise to go? Early war, late war, Cold War. I never flew early Cold War planes. Then I realized DCS had that, and now I had a new computer. So I tried. I flew the Sukhoi 25, the first version for the Flaming Cliffs, and now I'm learning the MiG-15, and I'm having a blast. Now with the Enigma server of Cold War, I have a lot of new cool things to try, and DCS is promising a lot. You know how Eagle Dynamics go. They promise a lot of things, and they take some time, but still, we know what is coming. We know they have a lot of Vietnam era and early Cold War era planes coming. And does the fact that you have communication and trailers to hype, that says a lot actually. Unfortunately, people are like that. You need to communicate stuff, and IL2 is being radio silence and some not so amazing updates. Again, I'm not hating 1C or the devs or anything like that, but maybe I was expecting a little bit more. So this is just, I know I digressed a lot actually. But this is a video about, planes we could get on IL2, and I don't know about documentation of they're historically accurate, but I'm just saying they would be cool, they would be feasible. Those planes are not like one made or like War Thunder that puts prototypes that never had a mock-up made, but real planes that were deployed. And in the next video of this series about looking at IL2 with a more critic and skeptical eye, I'll talk about features and mechanics that should be fixed, reviewed, or implemented because they are not there. But something that keeps Flight Simulator afloat is new planes, and I know it's not easy task. It's not easy to do that. But my part as someone who likes the franchise and likes to participate in the community, share my 2 cents about planes I think would be interesting. Thanks for coming to my underground archives. I am Rigo. I hope to learn something. May your 6 be clear and your friends close. Bye bye.